Third time's the charm. We got leaked SEC opponents for the permanent 9-game conference schedule. There's a big surprise.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire and USA Today Sports, and on today's show, we're going to hand out some game balls to the Oklahoma Sooners on the offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, who stood out from Oklahoma's win over Auburn. We're going to talk about the play heard round the world involving Isaiah Satania, some trickery, a little bit of Jedi mind tricks. We'll discuss that in the second segment. And we got to start here. Chris Lowe of On3, formerly ESPN, leaked or reported on the 3 permanent opponents in the new 9-game SEC schedule. And your Oklahoma Sooners ended up with the Texas Longhorns. There was no question. That was always going to be the case. The Missouri Tigers. I think in most projections, the Tigers were going to be there. But here's the surprise, Jay. Oklahoma and Ole Miss will be permanent rivals in the new 9-game SEC schedule.
Yeah, so for the uninitiated, if you haven't seen me talk about it or John talk about it recently, just to give you a friendly reminder on this, this is going to be your permanent opponents for the next 4 years. And what the SEC said they're going to do is they're going to reevaluate the opponents every 4 years. And so I think is what's fascinating about it, John, is when you really look at it, I don't believe that there's going to be a situation where I don't know if they're going to be a situation where some of these teams are actually going to see a change in their opponent. I can see for even Oklahoma that this is kind of an experiment because it was a shocker seeing Ole Miss. I was pretty shocked and surprised yesterday when I saw that. We'll get the official show tonight at 7 p.m. on SEC Network. And so they'll actually talk about it. But I thought it was intriguing seeing that these would be our opponents because if anything, this kind of works out good for Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it. Now, it's 3 pretty competitive teams, or programs at least. But what's interesting and I think a lot of fun with Ole Miss is you get to go to one of the better tailgating experiences in SEC football, and you get to do that every other year. I don't imagine that if everybody seems to enjoy this, that it's not one that continues on because Oklahoma's got several options, but to do that might create some breakups in other places. So
right.
Like Arkansas was one of those programs that was being floated as a 3rd permanent opponent for Oklahoma. Well, to do that, you might have to take away Arkansas LSU, which is one of those games that is really a lot of fun to have. Like the boot, the battle for the golden boot. Like it's not like a traditional, prestige elite rivalry, but it's a really fun matchup generally. Florida was another team that was talked about. LSU, that was one of the more favorite options for a lot of Oklahoma people, just because it's a big time program, a team you could play on the last weekend of the year. And it was going to be a game that would have a lot of postseason consequences, but again, not necessarily a natural fit. Not to say Ole Miss is a natural fit, but it's at least a really fun fit because you get Lane Kiffin every year and everything that goes with Lane Kiffin, as long as he doesn't leave for the Florida job. And you get to go to the Grove, man. And to me, that's really fun. I know, Jay, you got to experience that.
It was great. I had a blast. The people were fantastic. Food everywhere. And I love that they had this entire area of the Grove that's just dedicated specifically to doing all the tailgating stuff. And so it's kind of one of the, it's a top tier tailgating experience that I hope that a lot of other programs kind of take pieces of and do. Like Oklahoma opened up the North Oval, and there's a lot more. And I've heard the tailgating over there is fantastic. I haven't been able to get there early enough to see a tailgate yet, but I've heard that it is they've done a great job, and you can see that it's intentional. It's intentional to get people excited about coming to the games. And so I'm hoping that we get more like that from everyone else. But going to the Grove is a great example for people to kind of see, what the possibilities are, John. Just being able to see people, be excited about being outside and hanging out, which we all love that. We all have love an excuse to drink and hang out with family and friends and fellowship. So we know that's not that hard to do, but when it's organized properly and it looks good, it's a great presentation. And so us going to the Grove, we'll go to there at least twice. It'll be good for us to be able to, like I said, pick pieces away and be able to leverage some things. And then from there, the Missouri one, they need to do that on Thanksgiving. Make that the Big A Classic or something.
Yeah.
Right? Bring back the old school name, because we're only OU and they're MU specifically, Big 8 era. That's what it was. All the schools had the same. They changed their logos to match, and that was the deal that they came to. And that would be a fun one to do every single Thanksgiving.
No, that would be a great one. It's not a traditional rivalry from Oklahoma's perspective. Totally get it. But you've played 97 times. You got a lot of history dating back to 1902 was the first time they played. Every year from 1915 to 1995 or 1910 to 1995, except for in 1918, did the two sides play.
Yeah.
What was going on in 1918, Jay? World War I. Pretty understandable. But they played up until the Big 12 era. Oklahoma and Missouri played every single year. So to me, I'm totally cool with bringing that back. And with the way that Mizzou and Oklahoma have kind of gone back and forth from the fan bases to the teams to, recruiting battles, all that stuff, it's developing a nice little rivalry, man. And that's okay to say. It may not ever be Bedlam. It's never going to be OU Texas, but it could be a lot of fun to have this game every single year with the two fan bases going back and forth. And then Eli Drinkwitz and Brent Venables going at some of the same recruits in the Kansas area, the Missouri area, the kind of upper Midwest. Like, they'll be at each other's throats a little bit on the recruiting trail and on the football field. So I think it's kind of fun. I like the history. I like the Big 8 connection, the Big 12 connection, obviously, but to me, and that's what a lot of what college football is kind of about, is the history, the pageantry, the connections. And when Mizzou left and Nebraska left, you lost a little bit of that. You lost a little bit of your Big 8 connection with those two programs leaving. Now you get some of that back. That's
what you want. You want to get some of that. That's fun.
Yeah,
that's
fun.
The fun part of college football. Right?
Football is fun.
It's supposed to be. Well, at least it's supposed to be. It seems like a lot of people making it a lot more serious than it needs to be. But, the people that should take it seriously are the coaching staff, and they're taking it a lot less seriously in some capacities than I guess you could say fans are.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, I didn't even realize Oklahoma played Missouri. I know they played them a lot. I didn't do the math in my head of it being that far back and how much we played them. That's actually pretty intriguing. And I think a lot of people should recognize that as that's kind of a good thing. Some of the other ones on here that were noteworthy that I saw, I've actually got it pulled up here. I'm going to show you guys real quick. We'll swap you out to here. Man, I don't feel like Tennessee or Texas is ever going to change.
No, Texas is right. Tennessee is right. Alabama is right. And I think Georgia was right. I think they hit the nail on the head with those ones.
That's exactly how I feel too. It feels like those are ones that made the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
The Mississippi State is similar to us in quote unquote Missouri. Like, Alabama played Mississippi State every year for years.
Mm-hmm.
And that stopped whenever we got into the SEC. And I know I've heard some fans get a little, perturbed about that, saying that they wish that they didn't break that up, and they broke it up last year and this year. And so bringing that back next year makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah. And then Arkansas, I like Arkansas's grouping a little bit with Missouri. They've developed a nice little rivalry. And then you got Texas going back to the Southwest Conference. And then you have LSU, like that, the Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri geographical, connection right there. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then Texas, Texas was about as easy as you were going to get with OU, Arkansas, and Texas A&M. That one was easy peasy for the SEC officials to get those three ironed out. And then I even think the same thing for Alabama. Alabama is going to play Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State. To me, those were no brainers for that program as well.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you there too. There's definitely no brainers there. So that was it. So the one that I didn't understand, I guess, I'd probably say like Auburn. Does Auburn and Vanderbilt really have like a rivalry?
I think it's more of a location, like
a location piece.
It's not very far apart.
And I knew that Florida was one that people were talking about for us, which would have been intriguing. But again, the good thing is this will be changed every 4 years, most likely. They'll probably evaluate and see, we probably should go ahead and swap those teams out. So
yeah, they'll do a look in. And Greg Sankey has said in the past, he wants to do regular look-ins with everything, college football playoff, with scheduling, all that stuff, just to see if it still makes sense the way that they're doing it. They're not just going to say this is the way we've always done it, and so we're going to keep doing it. No, they want to make sure things make sense. So there's potential for some of these things to change. A lot of those won't change, though. A lot of those permanent rivals will stay the same. Oklahoma will always play Texas. The SEC is not going to take that moneymaker off the table ever. Ever. All right. What the SEC might need to readdress is the play involving Isaiah Satania and Ben Arbuckle's Jedi mind tricks. We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home, whether it's the local sports bar packed on game days, the coffee shop that knows your order by heart, or the corner deli that's been serving your community for decades. These are the places that bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And one Norman business that has been thriving for years is Abbey Road Catering, run by Chris Abbey and her amazing team. They do such an amazing job putting together great spreads for big, small functions. If you have a local business and you're needing catering, or if you're planning an event, whether it's a wedding, a reception, a baby shower, whatever it is, got to look into Abbey Road Catering. She did my wife and I's wedding back in 2010 and put together a fantastic spread that left all our guests satisfied. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood.
College football is back. And I can't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. We just talked about the permanent opponents. So now we have a reason to go out there to the Grove. And there's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping when you get to the checkout. That's why Game Time, the app that gives you the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score low, last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprises. What you see is what you get. I always go in there, pull up the Game Time app. I've looked at it for concerts. I've looked at it for other games locally, and I've seen some amazing deals. And I'm talking about some games, some college football games I've seen in my travels as low as $25. Even from there, and the zoning deal too, picks the section, Game Time picks the seat, and you say big. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, Isaiah Satania's play, where he scored the touchdown, has come under a lot of scrutiny, even from the moment that it happened. The broadcast was incessant about it. They could not stop talking about the play. It came up in postgame. It came up when the SEC released a statement talking about how it should have been ruled as a 15-yard misconduct penalty. And you're like, really? Bob Stoops mentioned on the radio broadcast that the Oklahoma Sooners had practiced that play throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to Gabe and Teddy on the Oklahoma breakdown, they're not sure exactly what the SEC is talking about here. Toby Rowland, the radio play-by-play voice for the Oklahoma Sooners, released something on Twitter saying, per a report, the coaching staff went to the SEC officials before the game, outlined their plan, got approval for the plan, executed the plan. We can see on the All-22 tape that Isaiah Satania never leaves the field. He goes over and he checks with the official, makes sure he's lined up properly, like wide receivers do on every play. Ran the play, executed, touchdown, Oklahoma. Sorry, Auburn fans. Can I get you a box of Kleenex?
I have a question, though. My curiosity is there a chance that we get a quote-unquote retraction from the SEC on this?
We should.
Will the SEC see that not only was this cleared like it was supposed to be, but that Oklahoma asked the permission like they were supposed to do it? Like here's what I didn't get with the gripe that most people were saying. And I said this, in a few places. If Isaiah Satania had his back turned, like the Johnny Manziel trick play they did with the Browns, in which in that situation they actually subbed in a quarterback. Just FYI, they subbed in a quarterback and Johnny just went and stood at the sideline. So there was a substitution that happened there. If Satania, there was an actual substitution and Satania wasn't lined up like this on the other side.
Yep.
Hugh Freeze even said it himself. I think the postgame presser, he said he saw it and he tried to run down and get a timeout, but he wasn't there, I guess, fast enough, or the refs didn't hear him, and he didn't get to get his timeout in. I get if Auburn fans have a gripe about that, but the play itself, he walked to the ref, pointed to him to make sure he was good, and got set.
Yep.
If you were talking about him turning and talking to the coaches with his back to John Mateer, I 100% agree that that's beyond deceptive. Because the question is, how exactly is he hiding in plain sight if he's literally lined up as wide receiver? What a lot of Auburn fans did not see in that play is this. Their players were jawing with ours. Like they were going at Burks like crazy. They were just jawing. And it was a tempo play. So there was no huddle. Even though the statement says it was a huddle, there wasn't. It was second down. There was no huddle. They literally were getting up and trying to get tempo. John was trying to get people going. He got the line going. The line adjusted. The funny thing is how long it took for them to actually snap the ball. They were getting adjusted at the offensive line. People were moving around. And then John finally hiked it. And you can see, if you watch the television broadcast, you can see it's either, I think that's Durkin or Freeze, one of the two, freaking out, pointing all the way to the other side of the field. Get over there. Get over there. And then they run to the ref to try to call a timeout. We already hiked the ball.
Yeah.
So I get the complaint.
Deion Burks is already celebrating.
Exactly. I get the complaint. I get why you would say that. But the thing is, it's the awareness, man. The ref said, and during the broadcast, Molly on the sideline said she talked to the refs about it, the head ref, and they said that we counted 11 players on the field, and so we thought they were good, especially because he was standing next to a ref and checked in.
Yeah.
If there was a sub, I would 100% agree with all Auburn fans. If we had subbed a player out and just stopped them right there, that's deceptive. Because they would have been given the same opportunity to make a substitution because it's a tempo play. Right. So they 100% have an argument. But outside of that, and I hate being long-winded on it, but it's just the thing that has been irking me because it's all people were saying. No, the deception was that coach didn't recognize the players were too busy yapping at each other. And that's how you get in people's heads.
Well, and listen, Ben Arbuckle set it up well. They ran a bubble with Satania to that side of the field, to the Oklahoma side of the field. But on that, they handed the ball off going to Auburn's side of the field. So like they were going the other way, getting the whole defense going, thinking that way on first down. But then on second down, they had everything set up the way that they wanted to. It was a chess move. Listen, this is chess, not checkers. And Ben Arbuckle played chess. And sometimes in chess, you're going to be a little bit deceptive. What is play action? Play action is deceptive. What is the read option game? The RPO game? All that stuff is quote unquote deceptive. You're looking to deceive your opponent. Yeah. I'm sorry that the broadcast made this out to be way more than what it was, but really what it came down to is Auburn wasn't paying attention defensively. That left cornerback was not paying attention to his side of the field. He was his alignment was so tight to the line of scrimmage, to the formation. Like, I don't know if he ever looked to see if there was another wide receiver over there.
Yeah.
You know, the Mike linebacker, the dude that's supposed to be responsible to make sure everybody's aligned, whoever your leading safety is, to make sure that the secondary is aligned properly. Nobody saw it. The only two that saw it were DJ Durkin and Hugh Freeze. And they freaked out appropriately, as they should have. Because it's
he's
super irritating. It's super irritating when your players don't know what's going on. And that happens. I mean, Oklahoma's been hit before with, misalignments and not seeing guys and things like that. It's just the way it goes. I understand Auburn's fans' frustration. I do. A lot went against them that day. But this is one of those plays that should have been a nothing burger. Completely should have just talked about how, oh man, they really caught Auburn sleeping there and then moved on. But the broadcast beat it into the ground. And then the SEC had to get out ahead of it with a statement. And to me, they threw their officials under the bus here.
They really did.
Because Oklahoma, if Toby Rowland's report is correct, and I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't be, the dude's got more access than just about anybody.
The refs
Oklahoma checking with the officials, that is right there the first check. And if they're good to go, then it's good to go in the game.
Yeah,
that'd be
that's the rules.
If the officials would have said no, you can't do it, then they wouldn't have done it. But the SEC officiating crew was like, yeah, you're fine, go for it.
Oh, that's what you're gonna do? Sure, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
you just don't sub anybody. If you sub someone, then that's gonna be considered deceptive. Oh, okay, cool. We'll make sure not to sub anybody.
So, anyway. Moving on, let's give out some game balls for the Oklahoma Sooners in their win over the Auburn Tigers. Coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. Ooh. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Jay, there were a lot of really impressive performances on both sides of the ball for the Oklahoma Sooners. Where do you want to start handing out your first game ball?
If I was to give out a game ball first, I'm going to do a player, and I think we should give a unit one out in a bit. Okay. But I'm going to go ahead player first on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to give game ball to Isaiah Satania. That man was all over the place. Was it 9 catches, 127 yards? Like, we got what we wanted out of him. And he seemed to be blossoming into a top target for material. It feels like they have a rapport and relationship, even though him and Deion Burks has one too. It feels like they're really starting to build something. But 9 catches, 127 and a touchdown. You're watching, that's 2 games in a row, not 2 games in a row, but two big games in a row. I say that 2 home games in a row where Mateer has hit Satania on a beautiful dime, right into his hands. And he's able to, that one he got one out of bounds, but the other one was against Michigan. He caught him on the sideline. So I'm here for that. Give me Isaiah Satania. He's going to get my game ball on offense.
Yeah, Isaiah Satania was great. I mean, he was involved in so many important plays. And he came up big. He had that big 31-yard reception on the final drive for Oklahoma that helped set up their score. Huge play. Great catch. It seems like they're getting him heavily involved in the offense regularly. And last week it was a lot of the short stuff at or behind the line of scrimmage. This week it was getting him down the field, using his speed and his agility to beat teams down the field. For me, I'm going to go with John Mateer offensively.
Okay.
It wasn't a great start to the game. The first half was not strong, but he came up clutch when he needed to. In crunch time, he was fantastic. In the fourth quarter, he was 4 of 4 in passing for 61 yards, had the 9-yard touchdown run. That was the longest run of the day for the Oklahoma Sooners, was that 9-yard run. That's what you need from John Mateer, right? When the game's on the line, you need him to come through in the clutch. So John Mateer, get you a game ball.
That's a good one. I actually like that one a lot because the way he played in that game, like he played like, I'm going to put the team on my back and we're going to win this game because of me. I'm going to make sure I shoulder the blame, or I'm going to share the success, but I'm going to shoulder the blame if things don't work out properly.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of a leader, right? That's a guy that is not about that. We're going to win together. But I'm going to make sure that, because I know how critical of a position I'm in at quarterback, and I'm at a school where legendary quarterbacks have played, not only in college but in the pros. I'm going to make sure that we're good. And he balled out. That's a very good one.
Yeah. Hold on, one more. I said it during the game. I said if John Mateer is the guy that we think he's supposed to be, we think he is, then he's going to have a much better second half, and he did. Defensively, who are you looking at?
Defense was a little bit easier than I thought it would be. It's not going to be who you think, though. I got to give this one David Stone.
Okay.
Man, 34 snaps, 5 tackles, and a sack. And it felt like he was there literally in the backfield the entire game. It's like he lived there. It felt like it. He was all over the place. And that's what you want out of your 5-star. That's what you were hoping to get out of him as your 5-star. And he gave it to you.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with his running buddy, Jayden Jackson, the other IMG Academy guy. 2.5 sacks in the game, 5 total tackles. David Stone also had 5 total tackles in this one. The two combined for 10 total tackles, 3.5 sacks.
Oh, my gosh.
I said it back in January of 2024 that David Stone and Jayden Jackson would go down as 2 of Oklahoma's best defensive tackles ever. I put them in the same light as Gerald McCoy and Tommy Harris. And yet we're getting those two at the same time together right now. Jayden Jackson had 2 sacks all of last year.
2.
He's already surpassed that total this year.
He's already surpassed it. And I think the best part about that too, John, is that the way he's playing. Yeah, it's just really good. It's really good football. And you remember when we put out our ridiculous predictions for the season?
Mm-hmm.
You know who I picked to be the sacks leader on this team?
You picked Jayden Jackson.
I did. Guess who leads the team right now?
Jayden Jackson. Yeah.
He's making me look good, dog. It's all I love. I'm actually looking good because of Jayden Jackson. But now I think that, but I still truly believe it, mainly because defenses are going to be so focused on Dom, on Stone, on R. Mason Thomas, who got 2 sacks in in second half, right? He was the closer. He did his usual closing. That felt like the Tulane game again, where he just closed it at the end. Yeah. And actually the Alabama game where he closed it at the end again. So that one felt like that. Same thing with, and then of course Marvin Jones Jr. looked good. Taylor Wine looked good. So yeah, they're going to be so much focus on those guys that I feel like he's going to have opportunity to do a lot of stuff that we don't expect.
Yeah, he's just blowing up the middle. And we got to give a shout out to R. Mason Thomas. I mean, he played just one half of football, 2 sacks, 3 total pressures, had a great game in that one half of ball. If he would have been available for the first half, that first half looks very different for Auburn offensively. All right, but we can't move on without talking about the special teams. Special teams through the first 3 games has not been great. It's been inconsistent. Tate Sandell has looked pretty good for the most part, but you've had issues with the punt return game. You've given up some returns. Not in this one. Oklahoma absolutely dominated the special teams battle. Game ball to the special teams units.
Shout out special teams. Y'all did it. 100%. Yeah. Kicking, punting. Hey, punter is one of
Grayson
the tops in the country now.
Awesome.
Yeah. What is it? Like top 51.1 yards per punt?
Yeah.
Hit a 66 yarder in this game? I think that was the number. Let me verify real quick. But I know he had an absurdly long one in this one. Yes, it was a 66 yarder.
Yep.
Goodness.
And to the coverage team's credit, Yeah, he averaged 54.4 yards per punt, but he netted 52.6 yards per punt, which means the coverage units were down the field as well, making sure there were no returns. There were 4 returns on this for only 9 yards, 2.3 yards per return. So again, Grayson Miller was awesome. Tate Sandell was 2 for 2 on field goals, hit his extra points. There was no issues on the kick return coverage because they've got a good kick returner over there at Auburn that could have created some issues. Actually, they even Oklahoma drew a penalty. And then there was one punt where crazily the dude caught it at like the 2-yard line going backwards into the end zone. And obviously that did not work out well for him. And that was one of 2 opportunities in which Oklahoma got the ball or started their defensive drive inside the Auburn 10. Now Jackson made some great throws to Cam Coleman to get out of that, but still special teams did their job.
Yeah, it was such a that was such a bad decision. Like, why did you catch that?
Everybody was asking.
Yeah, like, wait, what are you doing? Like, wait, he's about to catch that?
Yeah. Even Oklahoma fans felt bad for Auburn in that moment. You're like, why, bro? Why? That was terrible. But when you have a defense like Oklahoma has, and then you have a punter like Grayson Miller has been punting to start this season, dude, you've got a weapon in your field position battle. And he's been awesome so far. Any other game balls we need to throw out there? Just a general one, or who you got to target here?
I'm gonna give the O-line one for pass protect.
Yeah, that was good.
I think we got to do better. You get half a ball. Because we got to get better on the run blocks.
The long half or the short half?
What makes the most sense?
Give him like half the laces, I guess. You cut it down the middle. And
yeah, let's go for it.
I don't know.
I like that.
I'm just messing around.
I know, me too. I'm just teasing. No, I think the line did really good. They've been doing great in pass protect, and John Mateer looks super comfortable with them. So I think that they truly deserve some recognition as well.
Yeah, and I'll give it up to the coaching staff as well. They kept this team just battling and fighting and grinding away throughout. And, you know, they've got things they got to work on. They got things they got to continue to improve. But from a game management perspective, I did not see any glaring issues. There were no, delay of games. There were no, timeout usages that were weird. There was no issues getting the play calls in. Like all the function of the game worked out well. I felt like they had a strong game plan to win a defensive battle, and they did. So, and that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're available wherever you get your podcasts. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell over on YouTube to let you know when new episodes drop. You can follow Jay at Unfair Sports and go check out more Oklahoma Sooners and college football coverage over there at his channel, Unfair Sports on YouTube. You can read my work covering the Oklahoma Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer Sooner.